That dog mentality, well said by Buda Baker, as we welcome Washington's head coach, Kalen DeBoer, to Football Media Day. How's your day been, Coach, so far?
It's been great. Right. Nonstop, but we're all good.
All right, good. We're going to keep it rolling.
For a good second half here.
All right, good stuff. We'll bring you home. Terrific first season. I don't know what your expectations were for year one on Montlake, but 11 wins, a huge win in the Alamo Bowl over Texas. You've talked about having that not mean anything to what this year is. So as you come into year two, what are the expectations and what do you take from what you guys were able to do last year?
Yeah, there's so much to build from last year's season. The momentum that we carried through the end of the year and just finishing strong. It's a big deal. And I think it helped with just the energy around the program, the buzz. Also, I think it played an impact and role in retention and keeping a lot of our guys from maybe moving on to the NFL and wanting to experience a bigger and better year. So it's been an awesome offseason. The guys and all their goals that they have, it really, it's supported by the work they're putting in and the actions. And so we're excited about, a big season. We have a great team. We have a potential for a great 2023. And as long as we keep the mindset right where it's at, where every day we're building, every day we're growing, evolving, not taking anything for granted, we'll be in a good spot. And you can catch a couple breaks along the way. We know that to win a championship, that's what you need. But you make your own breaks, and I think that comes through hard work and building great chemistry, and it helps you through those tough times that we know are going to come each and every year.
Okay, we'll go ahead and open up to questions for the media. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone over. Please state your name and affiliation, and we'll get going with questions. Any questions? All right, we'll start here in the very front row on the left.
Hey, Coach DeBoer. What's the most important thing you're emphasizing for the offense going into the season to improve on, just from last season? What's the one thing you're emphasizing to the guys?
The most important thing for the team? I think the things that have been important for us are consistency and the continuity of a staff. Every single coach returning that's on the field, and really all of our off-the-field staff for the most part returning as well, including strength staff and personnel. So that continuity, I think, just helps you continue to propel into the next season. And players-wise, that continuity of having a lot of guys returning, has been huge for us as well. But we don't want to fall to, routine and the grind that comes along with each and every day and just kind of it being the same. We don't want to fall into that trap. And so the guys have kept what we call a starving mindset. They've kept moving forward. They've stayed hungry, above and beyond, and so I always kind of, when I feel like they've maybe kind of just starting to kind of teeter a little bit, just remind them that we didn't win a championship last year. We didn't even go to the Pac-12 championship. And so that kind of puts them back in the right mindset very quickly. And really that hasn't been an issue, but that's the thing we're focusing on is that we haven't accomplished all our goals and aspirations that we have, set forth in this program.
Stay on the left side here in the third row.
Andy Amashta, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Kalen, you kind of inherited a couple of former Las Vegas prep stars, Troy Fautanu, Rome Odunze, Eddie. What is it about the talent in this area you think that makes this such a hotbed for high school talent?
Yeah, you're talking about talent in this area? Yeah, we're fortunate. I mean, Eddie Ulufosio and Troy Fautanu and Rome Odunze are just a couple that are, key guys in our football program. And so, obviously there's a high level of football that's being played, and we're appreciative that those guys are willing to venture up to Seattle and take a look, and once we get them there, I'm sure that was the case because I didn't recruit those guys in particular, but once they get there, they see how beautiful of a place we have and the resources that surround our program and the leadership we have from an administrative point on down. It's all aligned, it's all in one, and so. Again, the hotbed of football here is a big deal to us in our program. We will always recruit here. We will come here often and, make sure we always understand who's on every single team in the Vegas area. That's for sure.
Coach, I can't help but think back in the spring. I was up in your facility and we're walking through and you're talking about the mentality, which is want to have a 1-0 mindset. and we walk in the receiver room, and there's Jalen McMillan watching film by himself. Nobody's asking him to. What have you seen from some of the stars that chose to return in terms of their work ethic to make sure that they aren't resting on the season that Ashley described earlier?
Yeah, I think, we just happened to walk into that room and he was doing that, but that's because it happens every day. Guys like Jalen, McMillan, and so many of these, especially upperclassmen, are leading by example. They understand the work. They know where we've fallen short in years past and what it takes to get there. I'm a believer that it's hard to skip steps. Last year happened for a reason, and we need to learn from those steps that we took and the steps that we have yet to take. And the guys and the examples like you mentioned of doing the extra work, and it's happening on the field, it's happening off the field, it's building chemistry, it's being intentional and building strong relationships for those tough times when they come and sticking together. But that's happening every single day, and the guys have all bought into that culture that we want to have. It starts with the coaching staff. And that continuity and that similar message that happens from me on down through the coaches and, through the leaders in our program.
We go over to the left here in the second booth.
Kalen, Willie Ramirez, Associated Press. Had a chance to speak to Michael upstairs for a few minutes. Asked him, coming in after the preseason voting, Washington second behind USC, Michael second behind Caleb. As he come in with the chip, very humble, very low key, very complimentary to the entire conference. How has that humbleness, sort of low key attitude, helped propel him into the person that he is, the quarterback you want to coach?
Yeah, that's the way I feel. Our whole team is with their mindset, and thankful we have a leader like Mike who thinks that way, who knows he's not there yet, and we're always building. We're building leaders. We're building, building our program each and every day. A growth mindset, is what we talk about often. And, I think the number one character trait with that is humility. And Mike certainly has that humility. And, we understand the conference, how strong it is, and it's awesome. It's great for the Pac-12, and for us to be a part of the conference. We know that every single day or every single weekend we got our hands full. I feel like there's no team that we can't beat, but there's no team that can't beat us either. And so each and every day we got to grow, we got to get better and improve. We're as strong as our team. As a unit. And so Mike understands, just like everyone else, the accolades will come with our team success.
We go to the back left over here.
Hey, Coach. Bud Elliott, CBS Sports, Cover 3 podcast. You got a pretty ridiculous set of receivers in your room right now. How would you describe their skill sets and kind of what differentiates them in your mind and makes them unique?
Yeah, it's fun having the tools that you need to do the work that on the field that you want to get done, and the wide receiving core. I think every position is important. We try to distribute the ball to all our skill players. Every guy needs to be a home run threat, and that helps us really have a good balance amongst our offense. But those receivers in particular, there is an explosiveness to it. We want to throw the ball down the field, but we also need to just be have a high efficiency level to where we get the ball in these great athletes' hands and let them go to work. Guys like Rome Odunze, he's put on even more weight. He's even faster. Jalen McMillan, I think is running 23 plus miles an hour. As you can track with the GPS, and stronger than I've ever seen him. And a guy like Jalen Polk, I think his speed is a little bit kind of probably undervalued. He's faster than most people think. He's right in there in that same range as Jalen and Rome. And so their temperament that they have, I think, is the key. They are becoming a hard-nosed group, not just this group of skill guys that just run around and catch a couple balls and make some big plays, and it looks make it look pretty. They go out there and they do the hard work. They're blocking for each other. They're physical, at the point of attack when they need to be. And so, I'm really proud of the way they represent our whole team, because I think anytime you have a hard-nosed kind of receiving core, just like you'd say an offensive line or defensive line. I think that really spreads throughout the mindset of the rest of the offense.
In the front row here, Dennis.
Dennis Freeman, News for Us Online. Coach, what's the biggest other area of improvement that Michael has shown the most, where he's grown the most?
Yeah, I think it's definitely in the leadership. We know that he's got the reads, and he's understood the offense now because it's been really the same system since 2019 when he was at Indiana and was introduced to it at that time. So him and the reads and the progressions and all of that, the checks, it changes from week to week and the game plan and so forth, but he understands it inside now. So now it's just a matter of him leading. And I don't think there's a meeting that we have where I ask for input and thoughts where he doesn't speak up and say something anymore. And that happens on the field. And, he brings his A game every day. He knows that's what we need from him. A year ago at this time, he wasn't even named the starter. And so it's been great for us to have his leadership from day one back in January, knowing who our starting quarterback's going to be that rolls out on the football field September 2nd.
In the back right.
Eric Lampkins II, Culver City Observer. Coach, earlier you spoke about intentionality when building culture. Can you delve into that a little more? What is your philosophy towards building culture?
Yeah, it starts with the coaches, and I think just the way they communicate, the philosophy that we have as a staff. And it's as simple as making this one of the greatest experiences of these guys' life and everything that goes along with it. And yes, winning is a big part of that, but the experience each and every day of, building a brotherhood, having love for each other, being accountable and seeing the wins that come along with that, whether it's yourself, your group, your team, those are all things that are part of the experience. And these guys really have enjoyed the journey. And, along with that, when you enjoy it, it's amazing what gets done when you put the work in each and every day. And those long hours go fast because you love the ride you're on. And so the intentionality is important. We talk about it often. When we're doing a group activity, that we have, and we're coming together, let's take advantage of those moments to continue to, older guys get to know the younger guys, cross-positional, relationship building. And, as that happens, you have an appreciation for the guys on the other side of the ball, the guys that are working hard across the team, and, realize that, man, I respect these guys, and I want to make sure I hold up my end of the bargain. And that's a lot of what our culture is built around.
Front row on the left.
Kenneth Berry, Touchdowns and Tangents Network. Coach, in regards to obviously how explosive your offense is, how have the defensive backs kind of counteracted that, especially with guys like McKellistein or Elijah Jackson? They won state titles in high school and waited their turn. What does that DB room look like in response to your offense?
Yeah, each and every day, both sides of the ball, I think, face some pretty good talent, and get pushed. It might be our offensive tackles versus our defensive ends, or our offensive line versus defensive line. And I think, with the receiving core that we just mentioned, the competition and the challenge that the defensive backs have each and every day, it goes both ways there too. I would say you brought up Elijah Jackson. I think he's had a great full year of training, development, growth, building confidence. He's got the tools, and last year he just couldn't break through a few of the dings that football bring you. And he, along with we got Asa Turner back, Mish Powell. We moved from corner to the nickel. Dom Hampton from the nickel to the safety. Some of those moves, I think have really fit the skill sets of our guys. And I'm excited to see that come to fruition this fall. The cross training by position, I think, gives us more depth in case situations do come up where now guys have got a lot of banked reps at other positions, and we'll make sure we get the best football players on the football field when those times do arise.
Coach, I know relationships are foundational to the culture that you're instilling in Seattle, and your relationship with Michael Penix goes back a few years to when you were the OC at Indiana. Last year was the first year that he was able to complete an entire season without having an injury. What was it like for you, obviously not to just watch the success that he had and what that meant to your program in your first year as head coach there, but for him personally and that relationship that you've built with him, knowing what he's been through with his injuries?
Right. Yeah. You know it's just fun seeing any player grow and go through the challenges that come along with. I mean, it might be on the field, but it might be life in general. There's a lot of things that are out of your control, and seeing guys respond, and in Mike's case, seeing the growth that he's had in the years, even since and what he went through, even since the 2019 season when I was with him. And he got hurt during that year when I was there in 2019, and he had a fabulous return. And that was a shortened season, but with COVID, but followed that up with another shortened season, and so he's been through a lot. And I think his response to adversity is resembled in how his response is on the football field. When our team maybe needs that big moment, that big drive, he just can focus on where his feet are at, play in the present, and give us the energy and lock in on the situations that's at hand.
With Braylon Trice, first team All-League as well as preseason. I want to ask about the guy on the opposite side this year, ZTF. People have been putting expectations on him since his breakout year a couple years ago. What have you noticed about him this offseason? Where do you think his headspace is coming into a season in a position you need someone to produce at?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked about ZTF, and just a lot of tension. Braylon had an amazing year last year, no doubt about that. He's ready to replicate that, and one of the best defensive ends in the country, edges in the country, and he and ZTF, they take a lot of pride in being that combination, that group that can get after people, and I'm just so proud of the way ZTF is. Just really, locked in on another level after the injuries a few years ago, and putting on more weight, and as strong as ever, and understanding the areas of growth that he can have in his game. I'm excited for the big year that I know everyone's expecting or has expected. I'm excited about that year happening right now, because physically he's there, mentally he's there. He's a pleasure to be around. He's grown as a person. Can't say enough about him. Could go on and on.
We're excited to have Mike and Eddie come out and join us here in a minute. Thanks for your time. And I just got to say, you've got some big recruits that you've signed since you've been there, but I think the biggest recruit that Washington has signed was Heather Tarr signing Alexis DeBoer to come play softball for the Huskies. So that's a cool thing. I'm excited that your daughter is going to be on the same campus as you. Thanks, Coach. Good luck this season.
You bet. Thank you.